Starlight, ooh, like got dicey. Hi everybody, Diane here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. So stick around and we'll get to it. A quick synopsis is we have two fathers. We have Ike and we have Buddy Lee. And Ike is a black man from the South, and Buddy Lee is a white man from the South. And they're kind of forced together when their sons, who were married, are both murdered. And so they're both trying to navigate their grief, but they're also trying to navigate how, their regret and all the mistakes they made as parents and how they missed out on so much because they couldn't come to terms that their sons wanted to be married to men, that they didn't understand it. They just couldn't wrap their mind around, that lifestyle. And so the book goes on to where they're trying to kind of piece their lives back together, but they're also waiting for the cops, like, okay, what's going on? Have you found any suspects? And when the cops, aren't making any leeway finding any suspects, then they decide, we're going to take it into our own hands and we're, going to figure out what's going on. So Ike and Buddy Lee are not, they're not to say they are not good people. They don't start off as good people. Ike's been in prison for, numerous things, manslaughter. Buddy Lee's also, drugs, sold drugs, all these things that, kind of lead to violence. And they both have been taught that that's the only way to communicate. They don't really know how to handle like differences. They don't know really how to handle life without violence almost. Ike has has made a life for himself and his family after he got out of prison, to where, he has a lawn mowing company and he's really dedicated himself to being better. Whereas Buddy Lee's kind of just, fly by the seat of his pants and just does whatever. He does odd jobs. And so anyways, they come together and they're really trying to figure out who murdered their sons, and it just gets crazy from there. It's, super violent. The violence isn't, it's not like glorifying. It makes more sense. It's not as like Jason Bourne fighting. It's not like they're not doing, jiu-jitsu moves. They're just, they're fighting for their lives, and they're fighting for the answers that only, they're going to be able to find out. So it just goes from there, and it's really a story of, them two kind of finding redemption with each other almost, because they're both kind of obviously regretful of how they handled their relationship with their son, and they're both trying to find redemption for themselves to make it right, or to make it as right as they can. So the length of this book was about 320 pages, which I feel like for a thriller is the sweet spot, because you don't want to linger too long in like certain areas, and you just want to keep going, because it's thriller. You want to keep it up, keep it going. So I felt like the length was perfect. The pacing was, on par. It played out like a movie in my head. I felt like this was definitely something, I could watch like on the big screen. And it was just really easy. There weren't parts where I felt like it lingered, or that, where it does. I think it has short chapters too, which I also like, because it just makes everything like you kind of get to the point and you move on, and you get to, the good nitty gritty stuff. So I feel like this is just a fast and easy read, and something that's easy to enjoy, easy to have fun with. So the characters, I think I've kind of already gone over that a little bit, but I just wanted to like reiterate, the characters I felt like were really, like 3D. They weren't paper thin. They weren't just like, oh, this is the, typical jailbird, and this is the typical white guy who lives in a trailer out back or whatever. Like, they really had some substance to them. And by the time you get to the end of the book, you really feel for them, and you really feel like their growth and their progression. And when I was reading the book, like I said, it kind of played out like a movie in my head, and I instantly thought like, oh, this is like Matthew McConaughey and Denzel Washington. Like, okay, let's make this movie. So I really felt like it was just very kind of like a redemption story. I don't know if many of you have seen The Man on Fire. That's kind of how it felt. Like, this thing happens and they have to make it right, and they're gonna burn it down if they can't figure out who did it and why they did it. And it's just very interesting to see, like I said, like them grow and then progress. So the twists in this book were, there were a few twists in this book that were surprising. I feel like I kind of came to that realization a little bit before they told me. But when I think back on this book, I'll probably remember more of the journey versus any, standout moments or any one particular part than, like I said, than the journey. I think this is more about the journey versus crazy plot twists. I wouldn't say that there's anything that was necessarily mind blowing that I was like, oh, I definitely didn't see that coming, But I definitely would say that this is a more of a character driven story, more of a redemption story versus a twisty turny, thriller. Okay, so this book I really did enjoy, and I felt like, like I kind of already said already, it was a fast-paced, character-driven story. It was really enjoyable. It was a short read. I kind of mentioned Man on Fire. That's just the vibe it gave me. It gave me a very like redemption heavy, something enjoyable, something easy to read. And, if you like those kind of movies, you like those kind of books, I would definitely recommend this. I would recommend it to someone who is really looking for a, not just a thriller, but like a character-driven thriller, it's a little deeper, I would say, a deeper thriller, because it talks about, the relationship with the son and the father and, all those things. So I would definitely recommend this. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 7. I know that seems a little low, but I mean, this isn't even my genre. I don't really read a whole lot of like thrillers. I'm more of like horror, cosmic horror type person. But this just kind of stood out to me, and it really surprised me with like the depth. Like I said, like it had a little more depth. It was fun, it was fast, it was just kind of everything you want in a thriller. And I even got to, he was here in town, well, I guess in Maryland, but he was here in town, and I sat through like 90-degree weather to hear him talk, to hear his perspective, like of his writing, and which was really cool to hear, and kind of made the book a little more personable. So he actually signed my book, and I stood in line, and, he was super nice, super relatable. I guess when you read someone's book, you kind of think of them as, not necessarily uptight, but you kind of think of them as, not really a person almost. You kind of think of them like just very, like, I'm never going to meet this person. They're just very unattainable, or, not very relatable, I guess. But he was super fun and super, easy to talk to. He was really nice. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend this book if you're really in the mood for something fast-paced, for something that is gonna, want to keep you going, to keep you coming back. And I would definitely recommend this to those of you who feel like almost need a break from horror. It's not necessarily a break from dark and disturbing, but it is a break from horror, and it is a little more lighthearted. There were some parts where, like I said, I laughed out loud, and it just, made you feel, human. So, if you liked this video, if you felt like, it was something you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and leave in the comments if you like this book, and if you thought that, or if you agree or disagree. So we'll see you next time. Bye.